Hey, welcome to Q&A with Coach. Welcome to Q&A with Coach. So we're going to start off today with our very first live. Plan is to do these regularly, at least weekly. I know this is during the daytime, so a lot of folks can't make it, but we're going to do one during the week in the evening also. But depending on need, want, we'll do a couple of these. But today I just wanted to, if some of you come on and have any comments or any questions, I'm happy to answer. But really just want to talk about why have chosen to be a special education advocate and kind of some passions of mine. There's really two areas that I really feel like um, that I can, one, be of help, and two, that are needed. And the first one is that I I have always worked with kids in schools that have challenging behaviors, that will, sometimes act out, have reasons, and with that I've learned what is needed, what can be done, what to look for, understanding why the behaviors happen, because any kind of behavior is communication. And so when we understand that and we can understand what that child is actually trying to tell us, often we can give them an alternative or a replacement behavior. So also, you'll notice, you see my wall and my window. We are doing some work in here to put a background, a studio background, and some different things that'll be coming up. So don't look behind me. I think I've blocked out the mess, but like I said, it's communication, and it's often misunderstood. We think a lot of times because a student is a certain age, it should act a certain way, and that's not. You would never tell a student who was 12 years old that couldn't read, well, you're 12, you should read. You should know how to read. We would teach that child how to read. And it's the same way with behavior. And once you realize that and that light switch can kind of be turned on, it does help teachers. It helps administrators, and it helps the student and the family. So that is one of the areas I think I can bring a great deal of value to, along as well as having been in the classroom, both as a general ed teacher, also as a behavior focused, supporting our special education kids with behavior challenges. Did that for a number of years. Also did campus wide behavior modifications, as well as implementation of myself and a team, uh, leading and changing kind of the culture on a campus that really needed the change, and it was beneficial. But that's one of my areas. The other area, and this is actually one that I see almost on a daily basis, is our teachers, especially our special ed teachers, who are not given the tools that they need. And so parents and the public may not understand how a teacher becomes a special education teacher. You can obviously go to school with a focus on an area of special ed, but a lot of our teachers will come into the school system as a gen ed or a different teacher, CTE, a career technology teacher, and then we'll make the move into special education. There is a test that's required, but that test, I'm in Texas, so the state test in Texas has very little, if any, if I can recall, about the actual SPED law procedures, how to fill out paperwork, what to look for, what are accommodations, where to look for accommodations, look for modifications. Modifications actually is covered in the testing, because it's really based about instruction. Do you know how to modify instruction? Do you know how to teach a child who doesn't know how to read, can you help them, give them a modified instruction or an inclusion or a change? It's very much instructional based, which is great, and it is needed. Obviously, if you're going to teach special ed students, you need to know what you're doing, and I don't discount that at all. And there's some very, very effective special education educators out there. I happen to have to work with a number of them and learn from them often, even though my focus was behavior primarily. But what's not taught at any level that I've seen, I've been to grad school for special education. I was an alternative certified teacher, as probably, I don't know what the percentages is, but I know it's more than half, and it's probably closer to 75% of teachers, that new teachers that get in are coming in as an alternative certification, meaning they didn't go through college to be a teacher. They didn't do student teaching. They didn't take all the education courses. They're coming in through an alternative certification, which, if we did not have that, we would be like, there would be very few teachers, honestly. But they have a degree, they have an educational background, and often they will be put into a classroom as they're earning their certification. The interesting note is that in special education, that's not allowed. There is not a provision to have a probationary special education teacher, an interim intern special education teacher. You are or you're not. So it's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. Well, you're either a special education teacher or you're not. And even during COVID, where there was relaxed standards, there was nothing changed. Matter of fact, there's a letter out, and if you're interested in it, I can drop a comment below, and I'll be glad to send it to you. That talks about there are no lessening of the standards for a special education teacher, and so you see that a lot. um, that doesn't mean you can't have somebody that is learn or in a special education program or an alternative certification program, and they're going to be special ed, but they have to be in a classroom with a certified teacher, a certified special education teacher, in order for those students to be receiving fair, and appropriate public education. So kind of go back to where I was kind of got off track a little bit, but go back to what I was talking about as far as teachers. So teachers are not trained on how to fill out paperwork in a alternative certification. There is no how to fill out an IEP, how to determine accommodations, how to determine what services are needed. That is all actually done through a team of the IEP team, and a diag will help with services, that might be needed. I mean, there's different folks, but as a special educator, you don't understand what is required in the paperwork. You just don't. When I was an educator, and the more I taught myself and learned, um, it's crazy. We don't know. And let me see if I can find. Oh, here it is, right here. Don't look behind me. Don't forget. I told you not to. So this is IDEA. This is a single page. It's got wide margins. I'll just kind of show you so you can kind of see. This is printed out. I've made notes throughout, um, as I'm reading and learning and utilizing this specific. So I understand the specific code. I have a great understanding of what's required, but I'm trying to recognize where it's at in the code. So the federal law supersedes anything at a state or a district level, and so people need to understand that. And so the federal law, doesn't matter what state you're in, that code, the IDEA, is the law of the land. And there have been court decisions that have spelled out different things. And we'll do that on another broadcast. We'll talk about Andrew F., because that was a big decision in 2017 that really changed expectations of what students could be receiving in special education. But I keep getting off. Let me go back. Teachers are not trained on paperwork. They aren't. Schools they may have a session on how to write goals for a student. Well, often my experience has been a lot of times they're vendors. It's not the school teaching it. They'll bring in, they have a curriculum vendor, and you will be, you sit in front of them and you might do it. They may do it every year, same training every year. So instead of teaching a special ed teacher what to look for, how to fill out paperwork, how to do transitions, how to help the student transition from elementary to middle to high school, and high school into, post grad or post secondary. What those options are, what options are there. We focus on the honestly, the budget is one of the things that's often focused on, and which includes staffing. And we also spend a lot of time talking about uh, the paperwork not being right, which is kind of a conundrum because I just said we're not trained, but we're expected to know. Give you an example. I've heard this, and I have know of teachers, first year teacher shows up at a school, special education, is told or is told, hey, if you don't know what to do, ask one of your peers about what, the question. Okay, fair enough, great idea. Utilize the expertise in the building. But if I'm a first year special education teacher, how do I even know what to ask? I haven't been taught about IEP. I haven't been taught about IDEA. So I don't even know where to begin. And so admit and that ends up dominoing. So as teachers leave, now you have a teacher that was not taught who is now answering questions of a student or of a new teacher who they don't know. So it becomes a domino effect. I know for me, I was taught by one of my partners how to do special education paperwork. Honestly, I didn't know, and I don't know that he knew that we were doing everything 100% right. Because if you ever look at the IEP paperwork in the software, there's like 100 different pages. We might use a dozen, 15, 18 pages at most. Those other pages have to be used at some point. You don't know. How do I know when they're supposed to be used? Nobody's told me. We're just sticking with what we know. And my partner was taught by somebody, and so and then she was taught by somebody, and so and I taught people. I don't know if I was doing it right. I hope I was. I was trying to. And so what I do know is that I truly believe that teachers are, and parents definitely, but teachers are definitely kept in the dark for a reason. Because you can't tell me that the administration at a district level doesn't know the law. They know it. I would hope they know. Either they don't know it, they're incompetent, or it's intentional. It's one or the other. And I don't mean that to be insulting. I'm just stating fact, because if you aren't teaching this to your staff and you're not making sure your staff knows this, it's either incompetence or intentional. And often I think it's intentional. And the reason it's intentional is special education is one of the most expensive um, instructional groups on a campus. It's expensive to teach a special education child. You have less in order to do it effectively, you've got to have smaller numbers. It takes more intense teaching. It takes longer term. There's more meetings. There's a lot to it. And if teachers knew what their legal obligation is, I don't doubt with it to know. I mean, yes, it might be more, even if it was more work, and it might be in some instances, they know that they're doing it right. I've heard from dozens of teachers across the country, some who I don't even know how they got my name and number, asking questions about training. I mean, and so yes, I mean it's an issue. We're going to work on some kind of a solution to help teachers. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but over the next, hopefully short period of time, we'll get something up for teachers That it because that is my really my heart, is to help teachers. Um, and so we'll see what happens. Like I said, I am two areas that I'm really passionate about is one's helping kids with behaviors. I wasn't a bad kid, but in elementary, I definitely was the kid that talked too much, couldn't stay in his seat, and you know, sometimes might stab somebody with a pencil. I don't know, but definitely had my discipline issues, especially young elementary, and so I've kind of always had a passion for that. But also, once you understand these kids' stories, oftentimes their behavior becomes very understanding. I mean, sometimes they've been through trauma, and this is their way of keeping people away from them. Or often students would rather be known as the bad student instead of the dumb student. They're missing something. They can't read. They can't do math well, or whatever. Usually it can be an academic issue or a specific learning disability that's actually causing the behavior. And what happens, unfortunately, to our kids is once they're labeled with that problem child label, it's hard to get rid of. It's very hard to get rid of. And so, um, I really want to work in those two areas. I know teachers are struggling. I know teachers are considering trying to leave the profession, special ed teachers especially. I know most schools in the United States were probably more than half schools in the United States were still had special education positions open somewhere in their district at the start of the school year. It is a critical area, and we have to do something about it. We as a country, we as educators, we as administrators have to do something about it. And so, what I have found is often it is not, and I'm looking for something as I'm talking here. It is not typically campus level. I think your principals, your assistant principals, your counselors, they're trying to keep their head above water too. I just question, and I do strongly question, kind of what's going on out at our administrative offices. There are people who are over programs that never show up on campus. I don't know why. Maybe they're really busy, but it would be good, if you're an administrator, you're a coordinator, a director, a technician, whatever, stick your head, go to lunch and have lunch at the campus. Do something so that people see you just once a year, once a semester. I don't know. And there are some that do an exceptional job of this, an exceptional job. But there are enough, that I've just wondered why. What are they doing? And here's another note. Many of those administrators that I'm talking about are making often two times what teachers make, or if not exactly twice as much, close. And that's why they take the jobs. Um, some of them have never even been in the classroom, which just befuddles me. To be a principal, you have to have taught 2 years. To be a school counselor, you have to have taught for 2 years. To be a superintendent, you have to have been a principal for 2 years. Some of these ancillary, especially in special education, there are very few, unless it's district, there's not any standard. And so you get folks who have never been in the classroom trying to teach teachers how to teach special ed. Again, we'll go back to this revolving door. So, just so we will have, our next video will be coming out, for the broken promises, no, our broken promises series. Sorry, got distracted there. Looking at something online here, trying to go over it. But we'll be talking about teachers, how teachers are set up to fail before struggle before they even begin. Kind of diving even a little deeper into our what we've talked about today, and my passion is to help teachers. But so yeah, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. Feel free to drop a comment. I'm going to post this up on a couple of different platforms. This is on Facebook. We're going to do lives on Facebook at least once a week. We may look at a couple of other platforms in the future. I know there are different ways of getting this message out. I, you know, my website, www.iepcoach.com. Again, this is the IEP coach. I'm Alan Driggers. Guess I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. So if you've sat through this 20 minutes of this, now you get to know who you're listening to. But yeah, if you have any comments, questions, please drop them. If you're in the Central Texas area, which is I'm based, and you want to would like to have me come speak at a parenting group, a church, a daycare, anything that we can talk about child find, how kids get plugged into a special education. We can talk about a lot of different things. Please reach out, be happy to do that. No, it doesn't, there's no obligation. I just want to come out and try to spread this, because we've got to get this changed. We're failing our kids, we're failing our educators, and it's not even, it's federal law. We have to do this. If we don't want to do it, then change the law. That's the only thing I can say. If you don't like it, change the law. And until then, we need to do this for our kids. So again, we'll be doing another one of these probably in a couple of days. I will post a regular schedule here shortly, but I do want to get the word out of what I'm doing, what we're doing. We've got a small group of an army throughout the United States that we're trying to make change. And so, if you want to come along this train, come on. There's plenty. There's 8 million kids in the United States that are on an IEP in special education. They need our help. So everybody have a great afternoon, and we will be back soon.